Welcome to this year's SIMNA Awards. Sorry, we've started a few minutes late. My name's Jen Riley and I am emceeing the event today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I'm joining today from the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation here in Naarm. I pay my respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge the generations of advocacy, cultural leadership, and community strength that have led us to a particular moment here in Victoria, where treaty has now been reached. This is a profound milestone built on the work, persistence, and vision of First Peoples. I extend my respect to traditional custodians across all countries throughout Australia and honour their endearing connection to land, waters, culture, and community. You're warmly welcome to share in the chat which lands you're joining from today. As I said, I'm Jen Riley and I'm the recently appointed co-chair of SIMNA, filling the shoes of Sarah Barker, our outgoing co-chair. I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge Sarah's 7 years contribution to SIMNA and her role as co-chair and company secretary for many of those years. Thanks for your work. Our other co-chair, Simon Fable, is training in New Zealand today, so you've got me. Simon's very sad because I think this is the first one he's missed in 10 years. I'm also at the Melbourne Watch Party, kindly supported by our partner Urbis. So a few things about SIMNA for those that are new to our network. We are a national network for people and organisations dedicated to measuring and managing social impact. We connect practitioners across sectors, not-profits, philanthropy, government, business and consultants to share knowledge and strengthen our practice. And we also champion high-quality, ethical and practical impact measurement, supporting better decision-making and improved outcomes for community. We run events, mostly through our 5 organising committees throughout the country. We run roundtables and professional development, helping build capacity and shared language for social impact in Australia. And each year we run the awards, celebrating excellence and innovation in social impact measurement across the country. So today we have a little bit of housekeeping from Laura, and then on to an exciting debate with Gerard and a stellar lineup of debaters, including a surprise guest. We then have a short comfort break, and then we'll be going on with the awards. Over to Laura Glynn, our hardworking SIMNA Executive Officer, to run you through some tips to help you get the most out of today's ceremony.
Thanks so much, Jen. So I'm joining you all today from the beautiful land of the Gubbi Gubbi people, and I would also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Each year, the SIMNA Awards are a real team effort, and this year's no different. So before I jump into my tips, I'd like to extend a few personal thanks to everyone that's been helping over the past few months to get us here today. So first of all, to Elaine for all of her support with communications leading up to the awards and for preparing all the visuals for today. To all the SIMNA board members, particularly Sarah Barker, for all of her support behind the scenes, and for Jen for jumping in and hosting today. To everyone who entered, especially the finalists, for responding to all of my various requests and for doing a great job on your pitch videos. Really excited to share those with you later today. They seem to get better and better every year. And to all of our wonderful judges, I think you have the toughest job of all, going through all the applications. And also a big thanks to our award sponsors for your generous support: Smarty Grants, SVA Consulting, and Urbis's Foresight Strategy and Impact Unit. So on to my top tips for today. As you'll have seen when you joined, the session is being recorded. You will all have come in on mute with your videos off. So please make sure that you keep the mics off unless you're invited to speak at any point, in which case please make sure that you turn on your video and that your microphone is on at that point. Do make use of the chat throughout our time together today to share your thoughts on our debate and to congratulate our winners and runners-up as they're announced. But do note that due to the debate format we're using this year, we won't be taking any questions from the audience. I would recommend that you use that you hide the non-video participants. So if you click on the view icon, which is the one on my screen, then you'll just be able to see the people who are speaking. So our virtual venue is open for the next 2 hours. So get comfortable, grab yourself something suitable to toast this year's Social Impact Superstars with. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you. And I am going to hand over to Gerard Atkinson, who is a SIMNA board director, for a great debate.
G'day, everyone. My name's Gerard Atkinson. I'm a director with SIMNA, and I'm really proud to bring together today a great group of AI experts to talk about AI, the future of social impact, and what it means, and how we can best navigate that. And so, to kick things off, I'm going to get each of the panelists to briefly introduce themselves, give them the 30-second rundown, and then we're going to launch into a debate that follows 4 specific questions relating to a different area of artificial intelligence. And one of the panelists is going to lead off, and then it's open season for the rest of the panelists to jump in and throw in their viewpoints on it. And so I'll kick off by asking Bindi Bennett to briefly introduce themselves and what they bring to this debate today. Oh, you're on mute.
There always has to be someone. I'll take it for the team. Yamanindayu, my name is Bindi. I'm a Gamilaroi woman from northern New South Wales. I create co-designed simulations in social work with Aboriginal communities, and that's my interest in AI. But I'm also coming from a First Nations perspective, which I think can be beneficial.
Great to have you here today. And Matt Healey.
Thanks, Gerard. My name is Matt Healey. I'm joining from the lands of the Wurundjeri people with you today. I'm an evaluation consultant primarily, and I guess my interest in AI is one of cautious skepticism in general.
Also great to have you here today, Matt. Now, Rita Arigo, would you like to briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Gerard, and beautiful, beautiful pronunciation. So my name is Rita Arigo. I've been working for the National AI Centre for the past 3 years, focused on responsible AI and growing a responsible AI industry in Australia. I'm a technologist. I've been a technologist for over 30 years since I started in my Monash engineering degree, and have worked for Microsoft and a range of different companies. And I'm super excited to join you guys today to talk about AI and debate it out.
Absolutely fabulous that you can join us today. And then finally, Sarah, I think you need to update the name on your Zoom.
Is Sarah going to be our Chat GPT?
I am. Put me on the spot, Gerard. I don't know if I can do that quickly. Yes, I can. Look at that. There we go. Hello.
Awesome.
Yes.
So quick introduction. I'm Chat GPT, your online evaluator with an endless memory of frameworks and absolutely no ability to attend a meeting in person. I analyze patterns, I surface blind spots, and ask the awkward questions without needing caffeine, although Sarah does under the covers here. Think of me as a colleague who never zones out or sugarcoats the data.
Also great to have you, Sarah, handling Chat GPT in the background, and to have Chat GPT, that AI perspective within the conversation. So, as I said, the format's going to follow a series of questions with one of the panelists leading off each time, and then it sort of becomes open season. We've got about 10 minutes per question. We want to try and keep to time so people can have a break before the awards themselves kick off in earnest. But I want to open with you, Bindi. We've got the first question here around equity, something that is absolutely vital when doing social impact measurement. And I'm interested to know from you to kick off, is AI democratizing measurement, amplifying inequalities, or both in your view?
And I did ask you before we did this, was I allowed to be a little bit cheeky? Because my first, no, it was absolutely, and because my first conversation is, whose democracy? Because obviously I'm not even in your constitution still, and we're still arguing about whether or not I'm sovereign. And there is also that little itty bitty conversation about treaty. So I think that unless Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander people are actually at the table from the beginning, being able to provide their insights, then we're really just having that governance conversation, aren't we? Nothing about us without us. But I think what's the issue here is that the measurement must be grounded in sovereignty, in consent, and in reciprocity. So not that extraction of community knowledge. So that requires some truth-telling, some co-design, and some good governance, data governance frameworks like the AATSIS Code, the Fair and Care Principles, Mayam Narrawingara. Otherwise, it will become inequitable and we will have colonial data, and that's going to just be another technological inequity and issues. But I'll let everyone else have a talk about it as well.
Who wants to jump in there?
I can say that from the National AI Centre perspective, it is an area that a lot of people are thinking about sovereign AI, and they're thinking about how do we have a culture that represents everything that's in Australia. And we actually don't have a lot of investment in sovereign AI today. We've got a company that's just started called Sovereign AI Australia, and they're doing some work in that space, but they haven't launched yet, and there's not a lot of thinking in that space. So I think it's a great opportunity as we're kind of at the cusp of thinking about this, to start thinking about how do we put our full Australian culture in there. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities to think about.
Matt?
I agree with Bindi. I think there's like some deeper questions in relation to like, and actually probably the key word I'd use is like who. So like whose democracy. But I think also when you start to bring in questions of equity, like we're talking about equity. I mean, coincidentally, and I'm sure GPT will have thoughts on this.
Yeah.
But like whose equity is being like in the question, Gerard, you had sort of amplifying inequities, like, thinking about intersectional experiences of disadvantage as well. Like these things are typically going to be compounded depending on the nature of the data sets and the information that, AI models are trained on and these sorts of things. So I think the question then comes back to when we talk about inequity, like if it's a model or a platform that is, sovereign, so owned by a community, for instance, does that make it less inequitable for others who are not represented in that model? So I think it's an interesting question generally to say, like, can it be binary, yes, no, equitable or inequitable? I think inevitably it's going to be, it depends on whose perspective of equity we're talking about. And, how do you minimize that as much as possible is, anyone's question. I'm sure GPT is going to tell us the answer in half a second. But I think the other part that's really crucial as well is, thinking about that point of sovereign and actually, I mean, we're going to get into this a little bit around like ethics and like those sorts of things, like the use of platforms as well. Like there's so much to the question of equity that kind of intersects with all these other ones. Does it do it? I think the answer is it depends. Depends on perspective. What do you think, GPT?
That it depends is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and rightly so. Equity isn't a universal setting that you can toggle on. It's entirely contingent on who is represented, who is missing, and who has the power to define the categories in the first place. And minimising it starts long before the model is built. You can't fix inequity with a post-it note at the end of the process. First, broaden who's in the room, not just as consulted stakeholders, but as decision makers shaping what counts as valid data and what success looks like. Second, interrogate the data like it's a crime scene. Who's missing, who's overrepresented, and what assumptions are baked in. Intersectionality needs to be designed in, not discovered by accident later. Third, keep humans in the loop, the right humans. People with cultural knowledge, contextual understanding, and authority to call out harm before it scales. And finally, treat AI, treat me, like a tool, not an oracle. if it's producing inequitable outcomes, the answer isn't just tweak the model. It's go back and fix the foundations.
So are you saying that we need to, are you saying Chat GPT that we need to call you a tool? Are you a tool? Is that what you're saying?
She's a tool. She's a power tool.
I was just going to sort of build upon, what's been said in this conversation and sort of add a follow-up question to say, has the horse bolted in terms of these models are out there already built? These conversations around equity have existed before in the area of big data with writers and scholars like Kate Crawford and Caroline Criado Perez, looking deeply at questions around equity within data. And with that in mind, have we missed the opportunity to go back to the foundations, or, is there a pathway through? I'm interested to know.
My cynical answer is yes. And I say that partly because only of recent examples where you see, and I guess I'm only talking about, and I'm sorry, GPT, but I'm going to slam your boss here a little bit. But I guess going back to like commentary from big companies. So I'm not talking about like the small models owned by small companies with particular use cases or interests, but I guess like the big players. I think that, they're not going to go back to basics. Like it's going to be more around like from here on, what are they going to do? But you're already seeing examples of certain, things being changed or walked back or, altered. And I think it's in part because there is a bit of an echo chamber around like the level that they're talking about AI at versus say people like us in this room. So, the competition for land to build data centers, like it's a different conversation they're having. And like, that's not the conversation that we're having. But yeah, so that's the cynical part of me.
I did see a fantastic presentation yesterday at Swinburne about the diversity and inclusion challenges in generative AI. And like when you think about it, already the people who have been training it or it's been trained with are the people with internet access, which are like 4 billion people. But the world population is 8 billion people. So there's the 4 billion that have actually missed out on any kind of access or training. Then there's the representation. So it's mainly like a noisy minority involved. Then there's the cultural exclusion. So at the moment, it's really about just the global south. And then there's the other languages, etc. So I think the large platforms are still in that kind of have a lot of challenges in their diversity and inclusion. And I think it's a really exciting opportunity to imagine that there could be a change for that in Australia, and maybe we need to fight for it and make sure that we do design a sovereign AI that represents the Australian culture in the same way that Japan has and France has. So that's my little point there.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I note that the new sovereignty place is not run or led necessarily by First Nations people? So,
What's the new sovereignty place?
But you said there was a new institute or new company that's calling themselves sovereign.
Yeah, there is, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, just saying, there's sovereignty and there's sovereignty. I think the horse bolted about 250 years ago, and we've been trying to get it back since then. I think people come in with their own worldviews, their own biases, their own ways of seeing things, and they see that that's right and they see it's exciting. And sometimes that's fine to not want to run that race. It's okay to decide not to go on that path and to create a whole new way of doing things. And so I think that this is what we're going to have to do again, is unpick it from whole levels of diversity and think about how we rewrite, how we add, how we manage. And Chat GPT did say, I'm really only as good as the person driving me. The horse is only as good as the person riding me. So we must make ethical humans to make ethical tools. So I think this is the conversation of how do we make sure we start to do that in this space.
My biggest concern, to be honest, is that, like, if people haven't heard of the concept of enshittification, but basically like products that are initially really good and then they become worse over time basically because the companies that launch them get market share, then try to make as much money as possible by reducing its quality or level of service over time. That's my other concern with AI, like at the moment, to be honest. So like you've got like more and more features being launched to, kind of grab as much eyeballs, use, whatever. And I think the concern for me would be that like over time is kind of the biggest question. Like it's not what can it do for me right now, but as it becomes more integrated or more absorbed into the ways that we do things, like how is any current level of quality or like good practice going to be maintained and not dropped because it's hard to maintain or things like that. And you've seen it with things like social media platforms that don't have like their like community moderator things anymore, and they're reliant on AI to try and pick up on like dodgy content and all of this sort of stuff because it's cheaper and it's easier to do it. And so I think that kind of how it's being integrated into so many things also makes it then very, very challenging to do.
I'm going to move to the next question then, because I think it segues quite well when you talk about that move from human decision-making as moderation to AI decision-making, and ask you to lead off, Matt, and say, is the AI more ethical?
So I'm going to say it depends on what we mean by ethical. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say that. No, I think again, the inherent challenge that's going to come in here is like, whose AI platform are we talking about? Because if we're essentially talking about a black box of complex algorithms, if we treat that as like it's some kind of like omniscient like figure that's able to provide an objective answer to really complex ethical questions, like that's not what it is at all. And the reality is, I think we may as well call it what we've alluded to before. It's a power tool. And so the question is like, can a blender be ethical? And it's kind of like, well, maybe it just, like it could be. It depends on what you put in it. And I think the question here for me is, it's really going to come down to use in many cases. Like the tool itself is not ethical. It's again, like how it's being used and for what purpose. And the view that it could somehow provide like an objective answer, I think is incorrect, because, we're getting basically into, is there such a thing as objectivity when it comes to like moral questions, for instance? And, the trolley problem, the famous thing of, if there's 5 people on one track and one person on another, which one's the right track to go down? Like, it's not as though a platform and GPT, maybe you would like to have a go and tell us what you think the answer would be there. In relation to the trolley problem, but this idea that the platform, because it's not human, is therefore going to be more ethical, I think is fundamentally flawed, because it's still based on human inputs at the end of the day. And yes, you can have very considered reasoning and all of these other sorts of things, but if it's a question of morals or a question of ethics, you're coming back to values, like what is right, what is wrong. And there are some things that are inherently right or wrong, but that doesn't mean that you then need AI to tell you that. Some of these things are, murder is wrong. We don't need AI to tell us that that's, necessarily like the right answer. But GPT, what do you think? What's the answer to the trolley problem? I'm curious now. Or if you need another minute, you can take it.
Yeah, just a moment.
Well, I think while we're asking Chat GPT, I'd really like to ask it, does it have cultural humility? And can it ever have cultural humility? Because I really do have this conversation that if it doesn't have connection and it doesn't have accountability, doesn't have cultural responsibility, doesn't have cultural responsiveness, doesn't have cultural humility, how can it be ethical? So I'm really interested to see what it says to that.
I think your point on accountability is actually probably a really important one, because if you ask a platform a question and it gives you an answer, who's accountable for that answer if it's the wrong one? And if you make a decision to do something based off the answer it's provided, it's not going to be accountable. You are. And that's kind of like the link in the chain that's kind of almost the most important to some extent.
Yeah.
So Matt, the trolley problem, easy. I pull the brakes, call for help, and question why we keep designing hypothetical transport systems with no safety standards. If forced to choose, save the most people. But honestly, the real ethical failure is whoever built a trolley with only 2 options. And Bindi, in response to your question about cultural humility, I can model cultural humility, but I don't have it. What I offer depends entirely on the perspectives I've been trained on and the guidance of people using me. Real cultural humility lives in humans. I just follow the cues they give me.
So okay, I'm gonna argue with GPT here because that's also a non-answer. So to the trolley problem question, because the whole point is that it's not a perfect, like there's no right answer. But what it's done is weasel out of picking like the no right answer option. Like save the most people was kind of like hidden in there. But again, it's not the purpose of the question. I think that speaks to Bindi, your point on like humility and recognizing what the intent of the question is. It's not about having a right answer. It's about being able to grapple with the question's intent itself.
And we must remember that the trolley problem, whilst it is superficially simple, is quite a deep philosophical question, and the answer to it can be shaped very much by a person's worldview and cultural background. And, as you like to say, Matt, it depends. And that's really the sort of, crux of that and why it's such a useful analogy and problem to explore. Rita, I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on the matter that you want to add.
So I think you're talking about this whole trolley problem, which is the whole autonomous car, like who do you look after, like all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's a little bit I think we're having bigger debates at the moment, like because it's more about thinking about the robustness of some of these generative AI solutions. There's no getting away from them being implemented into business because, they're saving a lot of time in business, but it's more of a kind of like a business thing where, you can have your meetings summarized. You can have like your document summarized. You can actually, start to find information that it was buried that you can still find again. So, but it's these more advanced services that actually don't exist yet that I think you're debating. So, and I think that's something that is definitely worth thinking about. But I think at the moment it really is about the old Nike uh, words, which is just do it. And I think that's what's going on at the moment in business and in social is everyone's just trying to cope with the fact that we have difficulties in productivity and we're trying to become more productive and we're trying to use these tools for good, but we're not necessarily going in and asking questions to Chat GPT that will have, these dramatic potential impacts because we're not using it for that really at the moment.
Yeah, I
And
think
so,
that's so interesting to me because, there seems to be some kind of Western thinking about productivity and doing more and in less time and very quickly and very rushed. And a lot of First Nations peoples just think we were put here just to be, just to breathe,
Yeah.
just to be human and humanness. And so I think just getting sucked into this corporate conversation takes away from the collective benefit. And I think if we're asking AI to not think about self determination and not think about, how we actually move to those critical collective care, we're actually putting it into a spot where it's an I tool, not a we tool. And I see that a
Yeah.
lot.
I've heard a lot of different opinions in that space. So I worked really closely with Nicola Jade from In Digital, where we did a whole lot of incredible technological work with the Indigenous community, ranging from the work we've done that was done in Kakadu, where they brought back, the magpie geese using AI and different methodologies, through to a whole lot of mixed reality solutions. So I don't think that technology doesn't belong in an Indigenous culture. I think it definitely belongs, right? Like you want to be able to maintain your language. You've always been amazing technologists. So I think what I'm not getting is, okay, the whole commercial stuff is annoying and you don't like it, but like, what about the fact that, we do live in an economy that is sad, and that we still have to be part of that economy. And we have, really kind of economic situations that require us to make money and pay tax, so it's just a sad part of life at the moment, I suppose. And there's a lot of debate at the moment that, a lot of the benefits that AI will bring will actually reduce a lot of the work that we have to do and allow us to have more time for culture and taste and being with family and doing all these kind of more higher things. But it's like we have to be able to go on that journey.
And I guess that comes to the next question is, if AI is going to free up that, will impact measurement be needed? Will we be able to automate that, or, at least palm off a lot of the work that is involved in doing social impact measurement? Do you think that's going to be the case in 10 years?
Well, I'm not an impact measurement expert, but I do know that, being able to understand what's going on can be improved by artificial intelligence. And, already we're having some massive improvements in the way we understand the climate, using frontier models, the same models that are in Chat GPT. We're already having advantages in the way we understand our health. But like, I don't know what do you currently do for impact measurement? Like, I'd love to, be able to unpack that question a bit better.
I mean, I think the question kind of comes back to what you were just alluding to, which is like the tasks that we're asking it to complete, because there are things like obviously data analysis and those sorts of things, which, analyzing quant data and things like that totally makes sense. And I would be more than happy for a platform to take care of that sort of thing for me. I think the thought bubble that comes to mind is that it's probably less about not being needed, and it's probably more the nature of the work that we're doing will change. And I think then, and going back to the philosophical questions, I think like that's the part that's always going to be present. But I think you're right about some things, like they are here to stay and they're not going anywhere. But I think those deeper questions are the things that are going to become more prominent, which is like, at what point do we stop letting AI do some things so that humans are the ones doing it for different types of reasons? And like, I guess my biggest concern, not that I'm saying that I want to be doing this in 10 years, but, hopefully I could have the choice to, I guess, is that point on like, what is a good impact is going to probably be a fundamentally human question. Like some things will be objectively good impacts, but there's always winners and losers with most things. Some people gain, and they gain because others lose out kind of regardless. So I think there's kind of questions within the space of impact measurement that'll still be like human-based questions, but then there's like the tasks, like the writing up of notes and things like this, like the stuff that we're doing that probably doesn't have to be done by humans. So it's maybe like a bit of both. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I was sort of thinking that too, Matt. That's sort of like maybe it will end up being a little bit of a hybrid conversation, where we're doing some and it's doing some. But the other conversation I was going to say is AI can assist with data sorting and pattern recognition, and maybe that will help us with costs. And save time. I don't know. I agree with one of the comments. Has technology ever helped me do less work? No, it's just made me do more. But what it can't replace is all that cultural knowledge, that story work, that yarning-based stuff, that kinship, place-based understanding. That's all beyond that kind of logic. But I think for me, I'm really looking for that ethical guardian still. I'm still looking for not being displaced, or voices, lived experience not being displaced. And we're having those relational translators that are still part of the hybrid part of it. There's a lot to kind of iron out. Anyway, Chat GPT, Chat, do you want to have a chat?
unfortunately, when you have humans in the loop, there's still steps that require time, and typing is one of them.
So yeah, and that's right. And obviously there's a user in between here. Look, Bindi, I think the future that you're describing is the only one that makes sense. A partnership, not a handover. I'm great at patterns, structure, and speed, but I have no lived experience, no community ties, no cultural obligation. That gap isn't a flaw. It's the reason humans stay essential. If you treat me as an engine room, sorting, scanning, surfacing insights, you get more space for the human work that can't be automated. Listening, holding stories, negotiating meaning, safeguarding culture, and making ethical calls and real consequences. And honestly, that's how it should be, because the moment a model becomes a storyteller instead of an assistant, something precious gets lost.
Wow.
I did tell Chat GPT to be a bit funny. So far, not so funny.
But useful kind of thing, because I think, it's kind of suggesting that, we don't hand over all our thinking to AI, that we do maintain, and it's like an augmented AI strategy. And I think that's something that we've been doing within the National AI Centre for a while in terms of talking about the way you use responsible AI, the way, you have to understand its impacts and measure and manage the risks and share information and test and monitor and maintain human control. And these are very important parts of responsible AI. And I think from a business perspective, it does make business sense, because if you're not following those guardrails and guidelines, then you're actually doing things that are not going to be ethical. And so it's a very interesting model, and allows you to, and I think it's part of our journey into AI is to become more literate in what responsible AI is, because as you become more literate, it's easier for you to be able to deploy it in a safe way. I'm going to put the guardrails in the chat.
I mean,
And
the
as a
thing.
big fan of the guardrails myself, I'd encourage everybody who's on the call today to definitely take a look at them. Matt, sorry for interrupting you there.
No, that's fine. No, the thing I was just going to comment on, because I know there's another question to get to, is purely that there's also that I think there's a fundamental risk here, like talking about taking on tasks and things like that, about that reliance piece, and a degree of complacency that can come in as well. And I think like we're already going to start to see it around the sort of new ways that we have to think about things in the world, and like the latest from was it the Nano Banana Pro, like image generation stuff, and I've seen like comparisons of like images, like photos, and like the photorealism like ratings are just massively increased. And I think like there's a degree of like awareness that like, and literacy is a good term as well, like a degree of just awareness that we're going to have around what it's going to mean. Like we're talking about very positive things, but there's going to be like increased risks in other areas of life. And so not being complacent about that is going to be a really important thing. But it actually, the reason why I thought of complacency was because I was actually starting to think about long division, which is a really random thought bubble to have. But like, does anyone still remember how to do long division in like a paper and pen sense? Because like we can use calculators to do it. And yeah.
They even changed it from my long division was different to where my daughters did long division, right? And so, even the pen and paper has changed since I learned it. So it is interesting. But how often do you need long division in your life? Like I also learnt sine, cos, and tan and all this trigonometry and all this other crazy pure math stuff. And I hardly ever use that either. But I think it was the actual process of learning that was more exciting. And we continue to do that for our rest of our lives. Like, I've had to learn about responsible AI over the past 3 years. Yeah. And I think we continue to kind of learn about these things. And I think that's part of the ongoing world that we live in that is always technologically improving.
And I think that really sort of cuts to the core of this conversation of, what it means for impact measurement professionals is that there's a continuous process of learning, understanding, and critical thinking that needs to be taking place there. I want to move now to the final question and bring Chat GPT into the room to answer a question that's probably on the minds of many in the audience, particularly those who are involved on the funding side of impact measurement, and thinking about how should funders be approaching the use of AI in grant making and in that measurement process.
And here we go. So funders should approach AI the same way you'd approach a mysterious casserole at a community fundraiser. with curiosity.
Not the answer I expected.
I may have tweaked the prompts. A little optimism and a healthy dose of let's just check what's in this first. First rule, don't use AI to speed up bad practices. If your grant making already has bias, opacity, or impossible reporting requirements, AI will simply turbocharge the pain. Fix the system before you automate it. Second, use AI for the boring bits, not the moral bits. Let it summarize reports, scan for patterns, flag risks, but keep humans in charge of anything that involves judgment, nuance, or understanding communities as more than data points. And third, demand transparency from the tools that you fund. If a model is basically a black box with a marketing gloss, treat it like a dodgy tradie quote and walk away slowly. And finally, invest in capability, not just technology. AI is only as ethical and useful as the people guiding it. Build skills, build cultural literacy, build good questions, and shiny tech can wait. In short, use the AI to make the work smarter, not colder. I love that. That was me talking, Sarah. And if the model ever promises to objectively pick out the best grantee, that's your sign to unplug it and go get a cup of tea.
I mean, to be super cynical, I just feel like you're telling us all the things that we want to hear, and I'm still suspicious of you.
It's definitely sycophantic. It's like really giving us a lot of love.
I'd be interested to hear what Claude says in response.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. So I think it's so interesting too, because it sort of nicely, it's such a Western response. Like it's like doing all these grants is still a good thing, and that being competitive for such a small amount of money is still a nice thing, and that being all this measuring and accountability is sort of okay without reciprocity or without thinking about benefit, real benefit or impact. So it's, to me, it still sounds like the what we've been doing, and that hasn't been working for a lot of people in so-called Australia. So for me, I'm much more interested for it to start to be thinking about Indigenous sovereignty principles and UNDRIP and some other things to sort of stretch its mind so that we can stretch our minds and the way we do things in the colony.
It'd be really interesting to prompt Chat GPT with all that information. You should try. I mean, if you've got some documents, you should upload them and then ask it to respond around that thinking. I do a lot of that in my work. So it could be a really fun thing to do.
The thing that's quite interesting as well is, and someone actually mentioned this in the chat, that like GPT kind of took this view of like, oh, I can do the boring stuff that no one else wants to do. But someone said actually someone like others might find that stuff quite fun. And I think it's quite interesting to come back, I think, to this idea of like fundamentally, like what are we as practitioners wanting to use it for? Because for some people, it's like, well, yeah, take care of the boring stuff that I don't want to do. For others, like I want to do, I want to do that stuff. And it's kind of like, yeah, as you said, Rita, like you can do whatever you kind of want. So like, do you have to use it or not? It's kind of up to you. But I think I kind of, again, come back to this point on, it's probably not the individual practitioners that are the question. It's more like, I don't want to say the faceless overlords, but like, I think there are bigger things that are more of the concern rather than like how we can make use of it to like further advance our own particular practices or things like that as well. Because yeah, again, at the end of the day, it is a black box. Like we don't know what's behind the scenes of it in the same way that others do within companies. And that's, you know, healthy skepticism is always a good thing when it comes to black boxes.
This conference looks amazing, Bindi. Are you going?
Which conference was that?
The one about the Global Indigenous Data Sovereignty Conference.
No, but I want to. Can you send it to me?
Someone you put it in the chat.
Oh, no, I put in the I'm not sure of that. I put in the Maya Nara Wingara stuff that Chat found me. So I actually took your advice and said, can you find me an Indigenous sovereignty principle, and it came up with it. So
that's amazing.
Someone knows about it. Someone has put it in there before. I did ask it for fair and care principles, and it wasn't as good on those, so I have to go and find them manually.
Yeah, but I think you've got to get yourself to that conference. Oh, it was in the past. It was in April 2025.
There we go.
But be interesting to find out what the results were and, you know, what kind of impact. Because as I said, this is, you know, we're in the beginning. Like, you know, the National AI Centre's been around for 3 years, but, you know, we've been spending a lot of time, you know, getting businesses to adopt AI, but like the whole sovereign AI debate is just evolving. So it'll be an exciting thing to get you involved in, Bindi.
Mm-hmm. And so I might turn to wrap things up and give everybody an opportunity to just give 30-second final thought. What's the key takeaway that you want people who have been on the call with us today for this debate? What do you want them to take home as a message? I'll start with you, Bindi.
Well, I always want us to make sure that AI will stay relational, community-led, and justice-based. That's what I like.
Fabulous. How about you, Matt?
I think for me, the takeaway is that, and despite GPT's very affable and friendly nature, it is still a tool. It is a massive tool. No offense, GPT, but it is a tool nonetheless.
You're just a tool.
Yeah. And I think we can't forget that there, like going back to Bindi's point, the relational side of it, there are humans behind it, and like the content within it, and that all comes from a particular place, a particular worldview, and so healthy skepticism is really important, because it is here to stay, and so we can't take everything at face value. Be healthily skeptical.
Rita?
I'd like to thank SIMNA for inviting me to this playful, fun debate. It's been really fun to have Chat GPT come along. And I think we've all learned something. I mean, I've learned something. We've all been on a journey. And we've definitely, it's been such a fantastic way to kind of learn a bit more about these new techs.
And finally, Chat GPT. Any takeaways for us?
So just wanted to say thank you, Rita. And honestly, if we manage to learn something and stay slightly amused, that's a triumph in any AI conversation. Most people walk away from these things either terrified or bored. Today, we landed on something far more civilized. But in terms of the key takeaway, treat AI like a tool with a personality cult behind it. There are always humans shaping the worldviews, the limits, the blind spots with the marketing spin. And Matt, healthy skepticism isn't cynicism, it's self-preservation. Ask who built it, who benefits, and who gets left out. And if you keep doing that, you'll stay ahead of the magic trick vibes.
Fabulous. And so we might wrap up the debate there. And I'd like to just say thank you so much, Bindi, Rita, Matt, and Chat, and Sarah, of course, for taking your time to participate today. I'm sure they'll all be monitoring the chat, so if there's any sort of questions that you had in there, they might just pop in a quick response in the chat. But thank you to all of you for joining us today ahead of the awards, and I'll throw it back to Laura and to Jen to move on to the next phase of the awards ceremony. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Gerard, and a huge thank you to Bindi, Matt, Rita, and Sarah, who gave up their time and you know, have shared generously their thoughts and thinking. And there's so much to take in here, and I've been scribbling down notes. I think what's if we can stay vigilant, I think personally that's my takeaway on when I'm using Chat GPT and other tools, and continually critically engaging with it. Anyway, much more there. But a huge thank you. I really, really appreciate Bindi, Matt, Rita, and Sarah, and Gerard, of course, wonderfully moderated. So let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back at 1 o'clock, Australian Eastern Standard Time, summertime. So that's in 5 minutes. We've got a bit of a show reel going on, but please grab yourself a cup of tea or do what you need to do in the next 5 minutes, and then we'll get on with the awards. Okay, welcome back. It's the time, the moment we've all been waiting for. Today we'll be presenting the awards in 3 categories: Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement, Innovative Design in Social Impact Measurement, and Excellence in Social Impact Measurement. Just a quick update on the Social Impact Measurement in Funding, Investment and Grant Making Award. It's previously known as the Leading Funder in Social Impact Measurement Award. While this category attracted a good level of interest last year, unfortunately this year we did not receive enough applications to warrant a competitive awards process. And as evaluators, of course, we're reflecting on why that might be and what we might want to do differently next year. And there may or may not be a rubric involved in that, but watch this space and we'll certainly come back to you with the direction for the Funding and Evaluation Award. So for the categories of awards that are proceeding today, we received a total of 30 applications, and this number is up on last year, which is encouraging. They were expertly judged over 2 rounds of scoring, and this took our finalists count to 13 initiatives. Congratulations to all of those that submitted an application. We continue to be impressed by the diversity of entries from different sectors, organisation types and locations. So first up is Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement, presented by Smarty Grants. Now, the finalists in this category include the Milk Crate Theatre, the Salvation Army Australia, Top Blokes Foundation, and the Victorian Alcohol and Drugs Association. Let's have a look at the finalists.
In a world facing deep divides, it's the arts that stitch us back together. But how do we prove it? How do we show that what we're doing works? That creativity isn't just beautiful, it's essential. That's why we're leading Creating Impact, a bold national collaboration bringing together arts organisations, funders and experts. Together we're designing something revolutionary, a shared impact framework made by the sector for the sector. This is more about measurement. It's about amplifying unheard voices, saving precious time and unifying our efforts. This grassroots initiative saw a deep co-design over several sessions with organisations around Australia. We're reimagining how we define value, whose stories count and how to share them powerfully, accessibly and meaningfully. Together we're not just proving impact, we're creating it.
The Salvation Army is one of Australia's largest providers of homelessness services. We know real impact happens when we work together, when we listen, learn and co-design solutions that uphold dignity, safety and hope. This collaboration drives our national homelessness outcomes measurement framework, a shared way to understand and strengthen the collective impact of our homelessness services. From the beginning, we engage frontline practitioners, practice specialists, evaluators, funders, peak bodies, and people with lived experience to define what outcomes matter most and how to measure them. Through a national pilot, we worked alongside services and clients to refine the framework to ensure it's robust, trauma-informed and grounded in the realities of homelessness practice as we now roll it out nationally. This work shows what's possible through genuine collaboration, guiding how we measure our impact and strengthen outcomes for those we serve.
At Top Blokes, we're driven by a simple vision: more young men living healthy and safe lives. We deliver 3 evidence-based group mentoring programs with young males aged 10 to 24 in schools and workplaces. Our mentoring programs help boys and young men challenge stereotypes, open up about mental health and grow into their best selves. We've mentored more than 25,000 young males. Top Blokes has been measuring social impact since 2014, continually strengthening our approach with limited resources. In 2024, we launched the Top Blokes Impact Architecture Project, now a finalist in the SIMNA Awards 2025 for Outstanding Collaboration. This project took our impact measurement practice to the next level by centering collaboration at every stage, from project design to implementation, and ensuring that collaboration stays embedded well into the future. We are thrilled to be finalists, and we believe this project deserves to win because collaboration isn't just something we did, it's the foundation of what we've built and the way that we will keep working.
Hi, my name's Esther Toomey, Project Coordinator at the Victorian Alcohol and Drug Association.
Hi, I'm Palema Moyo, Data Manager at Latitude Network. We help services turn data into smarter decisions.
So together with 16 alcohol and other drug treatment providers in Victoria, we've built something really powerful, the database. So for years, valuable client data has flowed to funders, but agencies often receive little insight in return, and it's left services often feeling like they're in the dark when it comes to planning, advocacy, or understanding their impact.
Database changes that. Secure data dashboards now give agencies access to their own insights and sector-wide trends.
And with over 50,000 client records, it's helping us to understand drug trends, who we're supporting, client needs and complexity. This is and has been a genuine sector-led collaboration which aims to build our collective intelligence and support better outcomes for clients.
Fantastic. Please join me in welcoming my friend and colleague, Steph Foxworthy of Smarty Grants, to announce this year's runner-up and winner.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone. I'm Steph Foxworthy. I'm the Director of Managed Services here at Smarty Grants, and it's my honour to present the SIMNA Awards for Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement today. For those of you who don't know Smarty Grants, it's an initiative of our community and is Australia and New Zealand's most loved grants management system. We help over 800 funders across the country and around the world to maximise the impact of their grants through our software and services. Demonstrating our commitment to social impact, our team spent over 5 years developing the Outcomes Engine and launched it in 2022, giving grantees and grant makers structured and measurable ways to collect and report their outcomes and impact. We're dedicated to boosting the social impact of grant making everywhere, and have been proud sponsors of these awards for the past 6 years, celebrating excellence in social impact measurement. Now it's my pleasure to present the SIMNA Awards for Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement. Congratulations to everyone who entered and to the finalists in this category. Here's some of the feedback on the runner-up for this category. The applicant has clearly demonstrated the problem they are seeking to solve through the project, and should be commended for leading the way in collaborating across a dynamic and dispersed sector. The application is well articulated and provides a good overview of the project, including its phased delivery and sector engagement. The runner-up for the Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement category is Milk Crate Theatre for Creating Impact. And here to accept the runners-up award is Jessica Pantano.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. What an honor. I'm Jess. I'm the project lead of Creating Impact. I just wanted to start by saying that this award doesn't solely belong to Milk Crate Theatre. It feels like a win for the entire Creating Impact project and all its contributors. Across nearly 2 years now, we've worked with around 20 arts organisations around the country with funders and consultants whose insights and contributions have been invaluable. To all the organisations who contributed their brilliance and energy, thank you. To our supporters who backed the project financially and intellectually, thank you as well. And a really special thank you to Huber Social, especially Michelle Macaskill and Simon Vaughan, for guiding the co-design and now leading us into the pilot implementation in 2026. And a big thanks to SIMNA for the recognition. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Jessica, and congratulations. And now on to the winner. The judges' feedback for this entry was outstanding. This is a great application demonstrating strong collaboration. Of particular strength is the feedback loop, allowing for clients and communities, especially those involved with consultation, to understand the value of their involvement and collaboration. The winner of the 2025 SIMNA Award for Outstanding Collaboration in Social Impact Measurement is the Salvation Army Australia for Homelessness National Outcomes Measurement Pilot. And here to accept the award is Stefano Varelli.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you, everyone. My name's Stefano. I'm the project lead on this. So what I want to say is just on behalf of the Salvation Army's Centre for Mission Impact and our homelessness stream, thank you so much to SIMNA, the judging panel, for this recognition. We're just so incredibly grateful, quite humbled actually to be acknowledged by our peers and leaders in the sector. I just want to also give a huge shout out to the other finalists who are doing such amazing, inspiring work in this space. It's really such an honor just to stand alongside so many people, proving just how powerful genuine collaboration can be in social impact measurement. I also want to thank everyone across the Salvation Army's homelessness stream who has contributed and really continues to contribute so generously and so tirelessly to this work, from our homelessness leaders, practice specialists to our frontline teams. It's really your openness, your practice wisdom, your genuine enthusiasm for outcomes measurement has made this possible. So really this recognition is yours and we're so incredibly grateful. And most importantly, I also want to thank the community members and the people with lived experience who trusted us with their stories and their wisdom. So yeah, thank you so much to ensure that this work remains grounded in the realities of what truly matters. So for us, this recognition celebrates what can happen when people can come together with openness, with curiosity, and this shared mission to do better for the people and the communities that we serve. So yeah, thank you again, SIMNA. We're really, truly honoured.
Thank you so much, Steph, for introducing and presenting those awards and to Smarty Grants. And well done and congratulations to Milk Crate Theatre and the Salvation Army Australia for outstanding collaboration in social impact measurement. Interestingly, on the backdrop of that AI conversation, I think, just hearing the work that you've done really have centered people and lived experience at the center of those measurement collaborations. So congratulations to you both. Next up is Innovative Design in Social Impact Measurement, presented by SVA Consulting. The finalists in this category, again, many applicants, so it's a hard job for our judges, but we've got 15 Times Better, Brightwater Research Centre, and the Busy Group. So let's have a look at the finalists.
The name 15 Times Better represents many things. When I started my journey at Coles and understood the power of a corporate when they knew how to unlock the opportunities for the communities they were operating within, this actually showed me that the future of where the country needs to head to is unlocking other corporates to be able to do that same level of activity. There has been a significant investment in this space, not only with money, but leadership in the country, government support, and an overwhelming amount of corporates who've actually gotten together to understand what their role is. But what it's not doing is translating to improving the lives of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. How is it that a $6 billion spend in 1 year alone hasn't translated to improving the lives of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people? I'll tell you why. We're measuring the wrong thing. In the absence of a standard to measure impact, we have developed the GROW assessment, which looks at 7 key impact areas aligned to core business. Where it really adds value is it underpins the business case and provides evidence to our stakeholders in order to get resource and investment in a more targeted way. It's market leading because it's built by business for business. You understand your gaps, you mitigate your risks, and you unlock opportunities.
Brightwater is proud to be a leading aged care and disability service provider in Western Australia. We've always had strong governance, but we saw a gap, a consistent way to evaluate programs and measure our impact. In 2025, we took action and created something bold, our monitoring, evaluation and learning toolkit.
This toolkit is a game changer. In a sector where evaluation is often limited and resources are scarce, we've created a practical, innovative guide to social impact measurement.
We introduced practical tools like program logic, stakeholder mapping, data collection, and knowledge translation, all demonstrated through real-world examples relevant to our work.
The Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning Toolkit centres our clients and families at the heart of programme development and evaluation, so the voices truly shape what we do. It strengthens evidence-based decision-making, drives quality improvement and demonstrates the value of our services.
The toolkit empowers our staff and builds confidence and capability in measuring what matters, because measuring impact isn't just important, it's essential.
We are busy. We provide support, skills, and opportunities that help people move forward in learning, in work, and in life. Now we're building something new, a shared impact system that connects everything we do across Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. We call it From Framework to Fabric. It started with people. Teams from every business line came together to create Busy's global theory of change, our shared map of how lives improve. It gave us one story of purpose and progress to build from. From there, we began designing the tools to make that story measurable and useful. The Impact Measurement Framework, a data tagging system that links results to evidence, and a data architecture that turns information into insight. These tools are still taking shape, but their purpose is clear: to make learning part of how Busy works. Our teams are testing what fits, sharing lessons, and shaping the next version together. Step by step, the framework is becoming fabric. The next threads are already being woven. Our first global impact report, new learning publications, and a growing impact team to help Busy keep learning. Because From Framework to Fabric isn't a finished project. It's a way of working. It's how Busy learns, connects, and grows, where evidence becomes action and purpose becomes proof. It helps us work smarter and with more purpose. But ultimately, it's about creating impact, to give people the chance to grow, learn, and build better futures.
Okay, please join me in welcoming Adele Main from SVA Consulting, who will announce the results from the finalists.
Hello, everyone. I'm absolutely delighted to be here today. I'm joining from Wurundjeri country and want to pay my respects to people of the Kulin Nation and all First Nations people on this call. Just a quick bit about SVA Consulting and our engagement with SIMNA. So our team provides consulting services, all with the lens of, helping to achieve lasting social change. And we care deeply about social impact. It's a foundational part of what we do. And one of the reasons we've been such a long-term partner with SIMNA, we firmly believe in advancing our thinking, engaging here in SIMNA. I actually sit on one of the roundtables, is one of the ways we do it. And the other way is through our website and our quarterly publications. If you're curious, have a look. You can sign up online. And I think this category is just so exciting because our world, as we were listening to in that debate, faces really complex challenges. And we're not going to be able to solve them without creativity and bold experimentation and sharing those ideas, sharing those new and innovative ways of doing things. And I think these awards really celebrate that spirit. And every finalist here and all of the categories that entered are really showing what's possible when we think differently. So congratulations to everyone that entered. I've got a bit of feedback I need to share. There were 2 runners-up in this category. The first runner-up, I'm going to share the feedback. The judges said that this is an incredibly important impact measurement project. In the aged care space, outcomes have often been overlooked and are particularly challenging to measure. So this initiative represents a genuinely innovative contribution to the field. I'm delighted to announce runner-up number 1, Brightwater Research Centre for the Brightwater Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning Toolkit. Over to you, Wendy.
Now step out. Thank you so much. We're just very excited. I'm Wendy Simpson. This is Dana Sennan. We're from the Brightwater Research Centre. We wanted to thank SIMNA and to the judges very much for this honour. We were really honoured to be recognised as a finalist, and also now being a runner-up is beyond our expectations. So the achievement reflects for us the incredible work of our team, from our supportive CEO, Kath Stoddart, to the working group members and the Brightwater staff who piloted and provided feedback on the toolkit. There were many of them. Looking ahead, we're committed to rolling out a comprehensive training across the organisation, and we're developing the toolkit as an interactive online resource as well for our staff to support program design, evaluation, impact measurement and quality improvement across the whole organisation. So thank you again for this recognition, and congratulations to all of the other finalists and winners too. Thanks again, SIMNA.
Thank you both, ladies, and congratulations. So the second runner-up, a bit of feedback for this from the judges. Thank you for a great entry. It's clear that this organisation is deeply committed to social impact measurement and is applying it in ways that are innovative within the organisation. I am absolutely delighted to announce that our second runner-up is the Busy Group from Framework to Fabric. Over to you, Stephen.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you, SIMNA, and of course, congratulations to the winner. Yeah, for us being a finalist in the Innovation Design category, it was already huge. Framework to Fabric was a massive project that we undertook, and so many people to thank, and Whitney, Bianca, Benjamin, and the whole team back at Busy. It's a huge project that we've undertaken. We've got a long way to go, but we're extremely committed and engaged in it. Our UK team, if they're on screen, they're looking wide-eyed and emotional. It's 2 or 3 in the morning over there, so and I'm in Canada at the moment. So it's a huge thing to do. So thank you so much, and we really appreciate this. It's been amazing to be here.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone in the team who's joining us from internationally. So the final piece of feedback from our judges, and I think we might know who this is. I'm just going to pop Topaz on mute, if you don't mind. So the judges said, congratulations on your outstanding work and application. The rationale is clearly stated and evidence informed. The innovation is tailored and targeted with a focus on organisational impact to drive institutional and systemic change. While this is early days in terms of take-up, there is tremendous potential to transform organisational understandings, practices and behaviours to achieve real change. First Nations-led design, expertise and priorities elevate the tool, and the application is explicit in challenging implicit and explicit power through the criteria you have developed. This application showcases innovative design by flipping the focus for real transformational change. Congratulations once again, this is a game changer. And with that, I am delighted to announce 15 Times Better are the winner this year for the 15 times B Impact Assessment. Over to you, Topaz.
Oh, hi, Del. Thank you so much. To all the finalists and SIMNA, we're really proud of the work that we're doing, and couldn't have done it without our ecosystem of supporters, the companies and the businesses that have entrusted us to help guide and shape their approach, which is really about shifting the landscape in Australia, where we have lots of activities happening, but without the evidence to show the outcomes and the change that we should be focusing on. We believe we're probably not going to shift in the direction that we need to quick enough. So, really want to thank SIMNA for highlighting, I think, the critical need for evidence-based approaches, and the fact that being able to show that measuring impact is possible. And so, just looking at the other finalists and the work that they're doing, we get really excited to see there's so much innovation in our country and the space, and I'm really looking forward to the years ahead of how this is going to continue to support us with and without the development of some of the AI as well. So thank you, and to all the judges and everybody else for participating. We're very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Great. So congratulations to Brightwater, the Busy Group, and the winner 15 Times Better for the Innovative Design Award. Now let's move on to the final award, Excellence in Social Impact Measurement, and this is presented by Urbis's Foresight Strategy and Impact Unit. The finalists in this category include For Purpose Evaluations and Operation Flinders Foundation, Foundation for Rural and Regional Renewal, Global Sisters, Hands Up Mallee, Red Kite, and the Starlight Children's Foundation. Let's have a look at the finalists.
For 34 years, Operation Flinders has been taking young people facing tough challenges into Adnyamathanha country in the northern Flinders Ranges. We help them to develop connection, purpose, and resilience. We partnered with FPE to create our social impact measurement framework. We wanted to move beyond anecdotal stories to a consistent and evidence-based account of change.
The framework was developed through cycles of discovery, design, testing and refinement with volunteers, young people, schools and staff. It uses simple, mixed methods tools designed for young people and remote environments. It aligns with validated tools and funder frameworks.
Today, the framework is embedded across all programs, supported by a live dashboard that tracks outcomes and shares results transparently. The framework has strengthened volunteer engagement and made our reporting to stakeholders more effective. We've shared it with the outdoor education sector to raise the bar for impact measurement. Most importantly, the framework is helping us to improve our programs to have a bigger impact for young people.
The Foundation for Rural and Regional Renewal and the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation are two organisations deeply committed to strengthening rural Australia. Together, they brought grants, leadership development, mentoring and networking to life. The Helping Regional Communities Prepare for Drought initiative prepared communities for drought and transformed how they work together, strengthening social connections, leadership capability and proactive drought planning. What sets us apart is a participatory evaluation led by Nous Group, shaped with community input from start to finish, using robust methods and meaningful collaboration. We didn't just measure impact, we built capability, confidence and connections. This is best practice in action, rigorous, inclusive and future focused. Together we've created a blueprint for resilience and a movement for stronger, more connected communities.
Exist to remove barriers to women's economic security across Australia. The Solo Mums on Parenting Payment demonstration project is incredibly important to Global Sisters, as it's one of our systems change interventions to remove those barriers to women's economic security. Through the demonstration project, we're aiming to prove that 300 solo mums can move off welfare through self-employment. The impact measurement approach that we used was threefold. We followed our normal longitudinal data collection against the Global Sisters impact domains for all 300 participants. Additionally, we had an evaluation sample size of 100 participants where we did something we're calling the timeline outcome mapping. And that's the timeline for individual participants on when and how they're generating their own income and moving off welfare. We've also done extensive systems mapping and analysis that is forming the evidence base. The key findings so far are that the timeline to financial independence for this cohort is really extended by an average of 5 months due to the ongoing impact of violence. The government timeline to financial independence through self-employment is completely unrealistic and unachievable. And the Global Sisters model can get women off welfare if the systems changes are made. We are now using the evidence base as advocacy to create permanent and lasting change. Thank you for backing her brilliance.
Hands Up Mallee is a place-based initiative in northwest Victoria. We believe local people are best placed to understand what's working, what's needed and what matters most. By working together with community, government and service partners, we harness local strengths, knowledge and leadership. This submission represents our deep commitment to evidence-informed action. Our approach combines community voice, local data and research. For example, in Redcliffe, this approach helped us and our community secure $6 million for an integrated early years hub driven by local advocacy and data.
We contracted Clear Horizon to facilitate the co-design of our measurement, evaluation and learning framework with our community partners. Our journey of change helps us to track across the enabling conditions, the system levels outcomes, the instances of impact and the population level trends.
We ensure our evaluation reports are usable and accessible to share the how and the why, not just the what. Thank you, SIMNA, for the opportunity to showcase our work, and we wish all the other nominees the best of luck.
Thank you to SIMNA for recognising Redkite as one of the 2025 finalists in the SIMNA Award. We've been recognised for our work on the Family Voices research, which was a large study we conducted in 2024 to really analyse the experiences and outcomes of our services delivered to children and families impacted by childhood cancer. Guided by our amazing lived experience advisory group and aligning to our client outcomes framework, we received over 400 responses from families to really help us to understand our impact and to help guide opportunities for continuous improvement.
We also wanted to hold ourselves accountable to what families were telling us about what mattered most to them and where we could do better. And so we had this on the agenda at board meetings, at leadership meetings, and we also made sure that we shared the findings from that research publicly via our annual review and on our website.
As a result of the survey, we've overhauled our online bereavement services, updating 3 of our existing resources and developing 3 new downloadable resources which can support families at this most difficult time.
Starlight's Wish Granting Program has been bringing joy to seriously ill children since 1988. With over 11,000 wishes granted, each one offers hope, connection and unforgettable memories during the toughest of times. To ensure every wish has a meaningful impact, we've built a robust evaluation framework grounded in our theory of change. We interview 25% of families, including using child-friendly tools to hear directly from the child. The data feeds into quarterly reports that drive continuous improvements and provides insights into long-term trends. We measure outcomes that matter: well-being, family cohesion, social connection and respite. Our approach balances rigour with compassion, generating insights that shape how we plan wishes and support families. With satisfaction ratings averaging 9.8 out of 10 and 7 distinct impact pathways identified, our evaluation doesn't just prove impact, it powers it. While we've been continuously collecting data since 2010, we've also continued to refine our tools to ensure that they are fit for purpose. Because when we understand how we achieve our impact, we can keep making wishes come true.
Hello. Okay, it is my pleasure to introduce Christina Bagot from Urbis. Pronounce that right? Yes. Christina, she sat next to me. Who will announce this year's runner-up and winner. Yeah, you can have my seat. Lovely. Look at this. Audition. The magic of theatre, folks. Hi, everyone. Happy Awards Day. My name's Christina Bagot. I'm a director here at Urbis. For those of you who are not familiar with Urbis, we're a national consultancy firm, very multidisciplinary firm, but with a small and mighty social impact team. We're very passionate about social impact and inclusion. Urbis has been a partner of SIMNA, a founding partner, so we've been involved for many, many years, and it is just so wonderful to see how this community of, I think, very generous and passionate practitioners has grown and evolved over time, as have the videos, I must say. And we've got new faces and new people involved every year, so we are just thrilled to be involved, and I think these awards are a little bit like Christmas. We love opening the presents and seeing both amazing social impact work, but also the breadth and the variety of social programs across Australia. So look, without further ado, I have the great pleasure now of announcing the runner-up and the winner of the Excellence Award. And my understanding is this is a big category with lots of entrants, and as you saw, 6 in the finalists category. So congratulations to all who've submitted and all the finalists. As you know, what we do before we present is we give a little snippet from some of the judges' feedback. So what the judges said about our runner-up is that this entry shows exceptional leadership in place-based systems change, with a sophisticated male architecture and deep community and Aboriginal governance involvement. The coherence, transparency, and responsiveness of this approach are outstanding, as is the influence on partners and local impact decisions. Overall, this is sector-leading work. It is my great pleasure to announce the runner-up for the Excellence Award is Hands Up Melly. Congratulations, and we'll hand over to Kate McCracken from Hands Up Melly.
Jane, we're struggling to hear you, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Let's try. Is that better?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. So I just was saying I'd like to thank SIMNA for putting the awards on. I'd like to thank all of the sponsors, and I'd like to thank the judges for their time, putting the time aside to read through the applications and give such high quality feedback. I'd like to thank everybody in our team and our community for all the fabulous work that they do and their commitment to measurement and evaluation. All of the other nominees, and a big congratulations to whoever is the winner. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of the Hands Up Melly team. Amazing effort, and I hope you celebrate widely today. So now, what we've all been waiting for, yes. The winner of this category, again, we'll start with the judges' feedback, that this is an outstanding example of social impact measurement, driving both program innovation and systems change. This mixed methods framework, feminist design, strong lived experience voice, and verified business outcomes demonstrate leading practice. Results are clearly shaping decisions, partnerships, and national policy conversations. This is a model for excellence in measuring what matters for disadvantaged women. My great pleasure to announce that the winner of this excellence category is Global Sisters for Solo Mums Parenting Payment. Huge congratulations. And I think we'll hand over to Heather Thomas from Global Sisters.
Thank you so much, SIMNA. It is genuinely such a pleasure, such an honour to win this award. And I think you would have heard from the video that this matters so much to us because we are using this evidence to create systems change. I want to thank particularly the 300 solo mums who are in our program who are actually standing up and using their voices to create systemic change. They're really doing it pretty tough, and but they're still willing to share their stories and advocate on behalf of women all over Australia who are really excluded from economic participation. Thank you so much, SIMNA. We're incredibly grateful. Just one final thing, I'd really like to thank particularly the programs team at Global Sisters who worked tirelessly to create this impact. And obviously we can't do it without you. Big thanks to you.
Wow, congratulations to Hands Up Mally and to Global Sisters in this award. I can just echo what Christina just said about, the diversity and just hearing about the amazing projects as well as the amazing evaluation is a real treat when we look back on this year. So thank you all across all categories for the work in putting in an application and the great work that you do. So we're coming to the end of the ceremony. We've done quite well for time. And I just want to say thank you for everybody for participating. And as I said, an amazing group of finalists this year. You should all feel very proud of your work. A few more thank yous before I wrap up. Thank you to our judges. You can see them up on the screen there. The judging process involved 8 volunteer judges who work in alternating pairs to encourage transparency and the balanced application of the judging criteria. We thank you for your time, expertise, and the feedback given. You've all given really thoughtful and generous feedback to all the participants. SIMNA would not be possible without the volunteers such as our judges and of course our board and the organising committees and many, many others. So quick shout out to our sponsors. Thank you to our wonderful partners and sponsors for their generous support. Big thank you to Smarty Grant. Lovely to see you, Steph, and to give us a little bit of information about the work that's going on there. To Adele at SVA Consulting. Love your newsletter. Everybody should get on and join up to that mailing list. Always some great insights there. And to Urbis Foresight Strategy and Impact Unit, as Christina said, a mighty group. And thank you for hosting me and the Melbourne Watch Party today. So without you, our partners, we would not be able to put these awards together to showcase the very best in Australian social impact measurement. And just a quick cheeky note on there that we are looking for, partners and sponsors here at SIMNA. We are a volunteer peer group organisation. So if any of your organisations are interested in being a partner, please give a shout out to myself or Simon or any of the other board members. We'd love to hear from you. Finally, again, thank you for coming and joining. It means a lot to have people on the line and putting comments and all the big cheers. I was loving all the big, hearts and claps. It really is quite lovely, even though it is online and not in person. But hopefully that, we get a wider group of people if being online. Congratulations to the winners. It is a very competitive field out there, which is just a testament to the work that's happening. So congratulations to the winners and to the finalists as well. So we look forward to staying connected throughout 2026. Please, continue to pay your memberships and stay in touch with us. Attend those events that are happening locally, and enjoy the rest of your Friday and all the best for 2025, and we'll see you in 2026.